podcast. What makes you smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Yes. Make your next thing a big one. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. This week's shows, I'll be at the Rab on Friday night, my usual Friday night gig, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Rab Friday night in Conway, Arkansas. You need to be there. Yeah, you do. It's a video dance party karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. The stage is yours. All I'm doing is pressing buttons, playing some background music. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables. In fact, they got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money playing pool, I encourage you to try out the pool tournament at the Rab on Friday nights. Friday nights. Let's see. Okay. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Trump to announce Supreme Court nominee by Saturday. President Trump said Monday that he expected to announce his nominee to fill the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat on the Supreme Court on Friday or Saturday. Trump said his short list was down to 4 or 5 finalists. Ginsburg's casket will be on public view on the court steps on Wednesday and Thursday. She will lie in state in the Capitol's statutory hall on Friday, the first woman to receive the honor. Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, are pushing for the nominee's confirmation before Election Day and appeared to have lined up enough votes. Democrats insist that the winner of the election between Trump and Democratic Joe Biden should pick the next justice. They say it is shamefully hypocritical for Republicans to rush to confirm Ginsburg's replacement with the election weeks away after refusing to consider former President Barack Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland in 2016, 9 months before Election Day. This is according to the Associated Press and NPR. Number 2, Democrats unveil bill to avoid shutdown. McConnell rejects it. House Democrats on Monday released a bill seeking to fund the government until December 11th. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, said Democrats wanted to get the legislation approved before the September 30th deadline to, quote, avert a catastrophic shutdown in the middle of the ongoing pandemic, end quote. But the bill did not include additional farm aid Republicans want. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, said the Democrats' proposal was not acceptable to the GOP. He tweeted that it, quote, shamefully leaves out key relief and support that American farmers need. This is no time to add insult to injury and defund help for farmers and rural America, end quote. The potential impasse came as tensions mounted on Capitol Hill over filling the seat of the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is according to CNBC. Number 3, DOJ labels Portland, New York, and Seattle anarchist jurisdictions. The Justice Department on Monday labeled the cities of Portland, Oregon, New York, and Seattle as, quote, anarchist jurisdictions, end quote, that could lose federal funding for failing to protect the public from, quote, violence and destruction of property, end quote. President Trump issued a memorandum earlier this month calling for a review of ways to block funding for local governments that the administration thinks should do more to prevent violent protest over racial injustice. Quote, we cannot allow federal tax dollars to be wasted, end quote. Attorney General William Barr said in a statement, calling for city leaders to, quote, reverse course and become serious about, end quote, protecting citizens. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, and Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan, all Democrats, said Trump was, quote, playing cheap political games with congressionally directed funds, end quote. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 4, CDC says coronavirus can spread through the air, then reverses. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention unveiled a new guidance acknowledging that COVID-19 can spread through the air, then swiftly removed the change, saying it was a draft that was, quote, posted in error, end quote. The CDC's website on Friday described COVID-19 as, quote, airborne, end quote, saying the coronavirus commonly spreads, quote, through respiratory droplets or small particles such as those in aerosols, end quote, and that, quote, there is growing evidence that droplets and airborne particles can remain suspended in the air, end quote, and, quote, travel distances beyond 6 feet, end quote. Experts who previously pointed to evidence that the coronavirus is airborne welcomed the new guidance, but a CDC official said Monday that the agency had removed the draft of the proposed new guidance because it, quote, does not reflect our current state of knowledge, end quote. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and CNN. Number 5, Trump contradicts public health experts' timing of vaccine. President Trump on Monday contradicted his own top public health aides and predicted that a coronavirus vaccine would be available within weeks. Quote, I'm getting it very soon, within a matter of weeks, end quote, Trump said in an interview with Fox and Friends. Quote, I would say that you'll have it long before the end of the year, maybe by the end of October, end quote. Moncef Slaoui, head of the Trump administration's vaccine push, said this month that it was, quote, very unlikely, end quote, any of the vaccine candidates would be approved by early November. Robert Redfield, director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, told Congress last week that a vaccine might be ready by November or December, but probably wouldn't be available to the general public until the middle of 2021. Trump rebuked Redfield hours later, saying he, quote, made a mistake, end quote. In an ABC News Ipsos poll Sunday, 69% of respondents said they didn't have confidence in Trump's promises on vaccines. This is according to Politico and ABC News. Number 6, U.S. household wealth reaches record high despite job losses. The wealth of American households increased to a record high in the last quarter as the stock market rebounded from its March dive early in the coronavirus crisis, the Federal Reserve reported Monday. The net worth of U.S. households rose by nearly 7% to $119 trillion from April through June. The gains came even though tens of millions of people have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. The recovery of the wealth, while half of the jobs have yet to return, signals rising inequality. Quote, high-income workers not only have jobs that, for the most part, have come back, they also have savings that have continued to grow, end quote, said Brown University economist John Friedman, co-director of Opportunity Insights. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 7, U.S. reports most coronavirus cases since August 14th. The United States logged about 52,000 new coronavirus cases on Monday, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. It was the highest single-day increase since August 14th. The U.S. death toll reached 199,886, just shy of the 200,000 milestone, once seen as the maximum number of deaths the U.S. would suffer in the pandemic. There have been nearly 6.9 million infections nationwide, according to Johns Hopkins data. In Europe, several countries imposed new restrictions to fight a jump in infections. Chris Whitty, Britain's chief medical officer, and Patrick Vallance, chief scientific advisor, warned Monday that the country is, quote, heading in the wrong direction, end quote. Globally, more than 31.3 million people have been infected, with nearly 965,000 deaths. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and VOA. Number 8, NYC police officer charged with spying on Tibetans for China. Federal prosecutors on Monday arrested a New York City police officer, 33-year-old Bai Majedi Ang Guang and charged him with providing China's consulate with intelligence on Tibetans living in the United States. Ang Guang also faces allegations that he invited a Chinese official to police department events and offered potential access to top officials. Ang Guang is ethnically Tibetan. He was born in China but is naturalized U.S. citizen. He has served as a patrol officer and most recently as a public affairs officer. He also is a staff sergeant in the Army Reserve with a, quote, secret, end quote, level security clearance. One of the two Chinese consular officials he allegedly communicated with regularly worked in a department responsible for, quote, neutralizing, end quote, potential opposition to Chinese policies. This is according to the New York Times. Number 9, Arctic Sea ice shrinks to second lowest level as region warms. Arctic Sea ice shrank to the second lowest level on record last week, scientists announced Monday. Quote, it's been a crazy year up north with sea ice at near record low, 100-degree Fahrenheit heat waves in Siberia and massive forest fires, end quote, said Mark Cerez, director of the National Snow and Ice Data Center, which announced the news with NASA. Quote, we are headed toward a seasonally ice-free Arctic Ocean, and this year is another nail in the coffin, end quote. Sea ice typically reaches its minimum in September, then refreezes and hits its maximum extent in March. This year, it bottomed out on September 15th at 1.44 million square miles, about 958,000 square miles below average, NASA said. Sea ice affects Arctic communities and wildlife, including polar bears. It also helps regulate Earth's temperatures. This is according to the USA Today. Number 10, Beta makes landfall in Texas, threatening flooding. Tropical storm Beta made landfall late Monday on the Texas Gulf Coast near the Matagorda Peninsula, threatening to drench some areas with up to 15 inches of rain. Quote, this rainfall can lead to significant flooding, which may last for several days, end quote, AccuWeather senior meteorologist Rob Miller said. Forecasters said Beta, the 23rd storm of the unusually busy 2020 hurricane season, also could hit some areas from San Luis Pass to Sabine Pass in Texas with up to 5 feet of storm surge. Quote, there is the danger of life-threatening storm surge near times of high tide through Tuesday along portions of the Texas and Louisiana coasts, end quote, the National Hurricane Center said. The storm hit with maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. This is according to USA Today. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I'm KeysDAN. Yeah, I'm trying to fill my head with knowledge, current events. And if you'd like to take this journey along with me, I encourage you to do so. But don't let me be the only source of news for you. I encourage you to check out the little footnotes that I put at the end of every little news story. Also, if I want to get some knowledge from you. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Also, in this long line of streaming things, I'm streaming gaming, online gaming. Find that everywhere using the hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. I say everywhere, but I'm primarily streaming on Facebook Gaming and YouTube and Twitch. So those three are the big three. But look up the hashtag KeysDAN Gaming and you'll find me playing games. Mostly Fortnite lately because I'm trying to get to number 1 in the Battle Royale. I'm going to do it. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.